it comes to the automotive tools, I just have a bunch of tools that I've had for years. There's nothing that special about any of them. I did not run out and buy a bunch of really wonderful tools. This is stuff that I've always just kind of worked on my own vehicles and stuff. And so basically just hand tools, pliers, wire cutters, the like, and nothing special about it, you know, just regular sockets, and quarter-inch drive, 3/8 drive stuff. I've got screwdrivers, and, you know, any number of wrenches, things like that. There's not a huge assortment of bolts and things I have to worry about having a lot of variable sizes. They're all very standard bolt sizes. In fact, I can't think of one that isn't. But it does help then, of course, to have a decent hacksaw. On the regular automotive tools, just things like torque wrenches. Here is some safety wire pliers that you can buy, Harbor Freight or anywhere. Now this is the most specialized tool I own, and it is for safety wire, and it's an extremely expensive tool, but it really makes doing the safety wire, it just is so much better than trying to do that yourself. Here's an example of what I'm talking about, and you can see, I guess you can, just how nice and smooth these ties are. And so I don't know if you want to invest in that or not. But when it comes to just basic hand tools, there's nothing special that I can think of that you may not already have in your setup. Just basic stuff. Of course, it's useful also to have just rulers and various types of ways of measuring angles or whatever you're going to need to do with those. That does come up some, and it's helpful to know especially when you're doing the controls, you need to know specific angles and rotations in degrees. So you may get you a few tools like that. None of them are expensive. That's a good thing. So back to fabrication, files, simple things like that. Flat file, and you've got just the edge files there and round or pigtails. But out in the fabrication world, really, you do need to have, I've got a much better drill than that. I just don't have it out here. Get you some good drill bits. I got these at Harbor Freight as a set, and depending on what you do, they're okay. I have since gone out and bought much better bits, just individual bits that I prefer to use depending on what I'm drilling. Other fabrication tools will be like grinding pads that usually just attach to your drill, hole cutters that are specific to the sizes that you'll want, just things of that nature. Over here, of course, is if you're going to make your own flare your pipe and do things like that. I got a cheap drill press at Harbor Freight. You've probably seen these around. They're not great, but for building the Helicycle, 90% of whatever you need to do, you could probably do here. There are some parts that I had drilled. I took them to a machine shop and paid to have them professionally drilled because you're not going to do it on this thing. So if you're fabricating and trying to do mill work, you'll need a mill machine. I'm not doing that, however. I've seen guys who have, and they do wonderful work, but I've just never had any training in that. So again, I did buy a little metal bender. This is helpful because there are some little parts here and there you may want to fabricate and bend the metal and have a precise bend on it. So that's good to have. Also, again, a Harbor Freight thing. Got this little belt sander with the little side disc there, and I will tell you what, I wore this thing out. It does great, and it just keeps going. And they make the replacement belts and sand discs for them, so if you wear this out, you can just go get another one. It's pretty powerful too, man. You got to be careful with it. So this is just an example again of some of the stuff that I have. I don't think there's anything special about these tools. And I think what's more special is how you use them, and having yourself organized and ready to rock, because building this Helicycle is one of the most fun things I've ever done. But at the same time, you're a little bit scared to death because you don't, how many helicopters have you built? The electrical tools are a variety of different things that can help you stay on track and sort of make good efforts toward what really is kind of tedious work to do the wiring in many cases. So I've chosen to build my wiring in most cases. So I'd say start with reasonably decent 12-volt power supply that you can control well and that's accurate. And you'll constantly be feeding power to little things and checking them out. This is the heat gun that allows you to do your heat shrink for the wiring to when you do your labeling. I'd recommend getting a really good label maker. This Dymo, it allows you to do both stick-on and shrink, the heat shrink labels and the various sizes as well. So that comes in super handy. Definitely want to have some kind of multimeter that can allow you to test circuits and so on. Not a lot of soldering, at least not up to this point, but get you a decent soldering gun. You probably will have to solder something along the way. One of the things that you'll need really are crimpers, depending on what you're going to do, but almost no two tools are alike. That's what I discovered. I have a variety of them for the closed barrel crimpers here in the various sizes that are common to what I'm doing. And then of course get a decent wire stripper that'll let you do various gauges down to the AWG 22. Here is a crimper for the antenna coaxial cable type of wiring, as well as a stripper for that type of cable. It helps you to get really precise crimps for cable ends on that type of thing. These small, just cheap, affordable snips and needle nose pliers, that type of thing, some tweezers, just little things. You can get into a little bit more specialized tools for removing the pins from the connectors, and I will do a video on the various components of electrical stuff that goes into this later. But for now, these are just some of the common tools that if you're going to build one, you might want to be thinking about. Well, the Kentucky Wildcats are going to play football today. It's the start of the 2022 season here, and big fans. And although I'm actually a bigger Alabama fan, but anyway, the tools for the Helicycle, I don't really think it's a big deal. It's mostly just stuff that you probably already have some variation of. The one thing, the learning curve for me was the electrical, because I don't really have a background in doing any of that, so I've had to teach myself via YouTube. And I will tell you, I've learned a lot since then, and I've kind of gotten used to know how to anticipate what I need for doing some of the electrical stuff. Again, it's not complicated. You got to be careful. Just watch what you're doing. As well as building the actual aircraft. Most of it's just very straightforward. It's not difficult, but it is something you got to be very careful and just take your time and make sure if you don't have the tool, don't force this stuff. Go get the tool. If you're not sure, contact the folks at Helicycle Ventures. They can tell you what you need, or other builders can tell you. Usually, I mean, they've done it. So nevertheless, I wish you well if you're going to build a Helicycle. If you do, please let me know. I'd love to catch up with you. Otherwise, take care.